What's up, guys? Today we're going to go over the Ender IO mod. I want to talk a little bit about this mod and how to get started with it, just because getting started with some mods, and mainly all of them, is sometimes very daunting and overwhelming. I'm going to talk about how you can get your initial setup going so that you can even make any resources that you need for the mod. Then I'm going to explain how you can get the more advanced stuff and allow you to make resources that you need for things like solar panels, which give you free energy, the equivalent of energy and item pipes, which are called conduits, which let you get energy and items from point A to point B. And I also explain some of the nice things that the Ender IO conduits specifically allow you to do, such as setting channels and speeding up your conduits, as well as occupying the same block for different types of conduits. So with that, let's jump right in. All right, so the first thing that you're probably going to want to make is the primitive alloy smelter. So there are two alloy smelters in Ender IO. There is the primitive one, and then there is the normal one. And we're not going to be able to make the normal one yet because we need dark steel, and this is what we need the primitive alloy smelter for. So the recipe for this one is just deep slate, and then it's also furnaces, but you need something called grains of infinity. And this will depend on if you're using a mod pack or if the mods that you're using changes the recipe or something. I'm playing in Sky Factory 5, so it does in fact change the recipe on me. So in my case, I hold flint in my offhand and I hold deep slate in my normal hand. So I have flint. I'm going to need to place a grindstone down as well. And then I place deep slate in my normal hand, and then I can right click on it to get grains of infinity. I'm going to make a few extras just because we might need some more later. Now, this is Sky Factory 5 recipe. I think in most mod packs and also just Ender IO by itself, you'll just go and light bedrock on fire. And then sometimes when the fire naturally goes out, you'll get grains of infinity. This is how I've always done it. The only time I've done it differently is in Sky Factory 5. So with the grains of infinity, we can now make the primitive alloy smelter. I already have one, so I'm not going to. But again, the recipe is deep slate, furnaces, and then the grains of infinity. So the primitive alloy smelter works kind of just like a furnace, but it makes you alloys. So you put some sort of combustible fuel down here, and in my case, it's bamboo blocks, because I have a nice bamboo farm over there that I can use. Then to make the dark steel, which we're going to need for a few of the machines, not just the better alloy smelter, but also for something called a sag mill. This is iron, powdered coal, and obsidian. So I already happen to have the iron and the obsidian, and I'll just put those in here right now. We're going to need powdered coal though, and assuming that you don't have a mod pack that overwrites it with coal powder from some other mod, I believe the way that you do it, if I, let's see, if I go to the recipe, it will tell me, which is convenient. I hold flint in my offhand, and I hold 3 more coal in my main hand, and then I, again, shift right click a block of obsidian, or a grindstone. So I do flint, I do coal, and then I shift, and then I right click, and I can make myself some powdered coal. So this is how I make it in Ender IO mod. But if you're using a mod pack, you might end up having this be overridden by something else. So just be aware of that. I'm trying to be as inclusive to Ender IO as possible without using any outside mods, if I can. Okay, so with this, I can put that into the alloy smelter, and we can get the dark steel ingots that we need in order to make some other machines. All right, so with the dark steel, we can take it out of the primitive alloy smelter. So something that we're going to need now is something called a sag mill. And this is how we're going to be able to get a lot of useful stuff. Silicon is the one that I'm after. So the recipe for that is this. So it's flint. I have dark steel ingots. It doesn't say crafting tweaker on it, so I think that's probably going to be a very similar recipe to this for most mod packs. I have thermal expansion or thermal series iron gears, so I don't think the recipe is the same for these. But if you press R in this like just enough items menu, it should pull up these recipes and it should tell you. So and then we have a void chassis that is grains of infinity, iron ingots, and iron bars. Then we also need just a normal Minecraft piston. So I already happen to have one of these, and I believe it's in here, so I'm not going to make it myself. But we can make it with this recipe, and it requires dark steel ingots. Now, the sag mill looks like this. It's going to complain that you don't have enough power, and that there's not a capacitor in the machine. you're going to need to install a capacitor in order for it to work at all. So in Sky Factory, you end up making the capacitors yourself. The recipe for the capacitors is this. So it's just gold nuggets, copper, and 2 redstone dust. And then you can go and take the capacitor and stick it in. Now, I was playing Minecraft Eternal for a while, and I was finding capacitors around the world that were like enchanted and had like effects that made the machines work differently. I don't know if that was a Minecraft Eternal specific thing or if that's something that happens in a lot of mod packs. But just be aware of that. If you find capacitors around the world, this is what they're used for. And they might affect the machine differently. So you might want to read the enchantments to make sure you're not like negatively affecting your machine. Okay, so that's the capacitor. We still don't have power. So we're going to need to get the power somehow. So the Ender IO mod has a Stirling generator. This right here. The recipe is this. So we have stone bricks, stone compound gears, and these are from Ender IO, so the recipe should be the same. And then a normal Minecraft piston and a furnace. So the compound gears are made with cobblestone and sticks. So I should be able to make a couple of those real fast. So it's just sticks and cobblestone. So I can make those. I will then make a furnace as well. And then I already forgot what the recipe is. We need a piston. Okay, yeah, so it's a piston. Okay. Now we're going to need to go get some stone bricks real fast, so hang tight. So this gets us the Stirling generator, and this will allow us to make some power with our machines. So I'm going to place that directly next to it because I don't have a means to move the power around yet. This also requires a capacitor. So I am just going to make one real fast, and I forgot to grab gold. Don't look at my base. It's a huge mess. I'll clean it up eventually. I keep telling myself. All right, so we're going to make another capacitor because it requires a capacitor to work. Okay, so it's that, copper, and then redstone dust to make the capacitor. There are better capacitors. These are just the basic ones, but there are better ones you can make that might have different effects on the machine. I'm not actually sure. Oop. I right-click the capacitor on the machine and it automatically put it in there. Okay, so this will just make power when we burn stuff. Now, we don't have a means to move the energy around yet, so if I put it next to the machine, I'm assuming it will fill up the machine, right? We can make the conduits, they're called, to be able to move the energy further around, but we still need some of the stuff I'm making now for that to happen at all. So the sag mill will allow us to get a number of things. Now, silicon is one of the main ones, and mainly the reason I want silicon is because there are solar panels that we can make. And the solar panels are glass, gold, the capacitors that we already made, and redstone dust. However, it's also these photovoltaics plates. And this is an alloy smelting thing, which we can already do, but it also requires lapis dust. I'm not sure how you get this in in Ender IO. This might be through the sag mill. I'm assuming like you go to the sag mill and just chuck it in here or something. I could be wrong about that though. But then we also need silicon. And the silicon you can get by putting sand in the sag mill. So if I put sand in here, it will probably come up with a bunch of stuff that isn't silicon, but I'll also get some silicon coming out of that. Now, the reason I'm going for solar panels immediately is because I don't like having to burn stuff for energy, especially when it's like really expensive too. I put kind of not a trivial amount of wood in there, and I'm going to have to like sag mill a whole stack of sand or something to get enough things to make solar panels. Solar panels are free, and they will just generate energy forever. So, okay, so while this goes, and I'm going to top it off with a little bit more wood. I mentioned the conduits, and there are different types of conduits you can use in the Ender IO mod. So I already mentioned the energy conduits, and these let you move energy around, kind of like pipes. There's also item conduits, which do the same thing with items. They let you get items from point A to B. Then there's a bunch of other ones I won't really get into. There's redstone conduits, which do redstone wiring, which is really convenient. Then there's like fluid ones, different types of fluid ones. And then that might be it. I'm going to start with the energy conduit. Now, we need this something called a conduit binder composite. So the recipe for this like dust thing is gravel, in the X pattern, and then you have sand, and then you have clay balls. So if I make that recipe, so it's, I put all of my sand in there. Let's not do all of it. Okay, so do that, and then I grab my gravel and I put it in the X pattern, and this will let us get the like binding thing. Okay, now the binding, you're going to just go into a furnace and you're going to smelt it. I'm going to save you from that, and I believe I already have some of this laying around, so I'm going to go grab some real fast. Again, don't look at my base. Maybe this one? Oh yeah, okay, I have 2. I'm going to smelt this for later for myself. I also happen to have some conduits with me already. So I have the item conduits on me. If I wait for some of this to smelt 6 or 4 more of the conduits, what we're going to do is we can make, first of all, the item conduits with a different recipe that we don't know how to make yet. It's with pulsating iron. For the energy conduits, we're going to need to make a conductive alloy ingot. This is made through the alloy smelter. It can be the primitive one, or you can go and make the normal one. The normal one is made with this recipe right here. So it's gears, a cauldron, the void chassis again, 3 furnaces, and then 2 dark steel ingots. I'm usually okay with using the primitive one, so I'm not going to upgrade it, but this is how you would upgrade it. It will require a capacitor and power, though. Okay, so I'm going to grab the conduits. So we need, I got sidetracked. So we need this this conductive alloy ingot. So this, we do iron and redstone dust, and then this copper alloy ingot. This copper alloy ingot is also made in the primitive alloy smelter. And this requires silicon, which is why I made the sag furnace, the sag mill first. So it's copper and silicon to make this thing, which then we need to use for the rest of it. So I will go back to my little area. And we are going to make some of these things. So I already have copper in my inventory, and I should have some silicon here now. So I can go into the furnace, and I can just make some of this copper stuff it was talking about. It'll take a minute. I have more bamboo blocks ready to go. So I'll cut the video so that we can have this make all of them. All right, so the the copper alloy ingot, I obviously do not know the names of anything, so I keep messing them up. So we need that. Then we're going to have iron, and we're going to have redstone dust, and this will make us the conductive alloy ingot. Yeah. And this will let us make the energy conduits, and I'll explain how to use these once we have them. So we need 3 of them at least, and we're going to take our conduit binder and put them in a pattern like that, and then I can just wait for this to make 2 more. The item conduit we'll make next. This one is actually less involved. It is pulsating alloy ingot, and this is iron and ender pearls. So it's not the cheapest thing to make ever, but at least it's only 1 step instead of 2. I'll fire some of these up here in a second once this one's done. So we have 3 of these. We can make the energy conduits now. Okay, so if I want to make power go somewhere else, so I'm gonna put this like over here. I need to like use energy so I can see it. What we're gonna do is place the conduits. I don't know if it's gonna do it automatically or not. We're gonna place the conduits like this, and I can see that it is in fact doing it automatically. The item one does not do it automatically, so I wasn't sure. So the conduits are just a pipe, and it looks like it will go from point A to point B for you. You can right click on this like little thing on the side, and you can start doing stuff to it if it doesn't work for whatever reason, or if you're trying to do something more complicated. So on the one with the power generator, it has extract checked. So if this wasn't checked, it's not going to work. Like it's not even going to be connected. So we would have extract on if we want it to work. And sometimes it doesn't. If you turn it off, it like doesn't let you turn it back on again for some reason. Then on this one, we do on insert. If I got rid of insert, like if I did this, for example, it won't get rid of it because I have 1 checked. If I do get rid of it, it will have 0 checked. And I don't know how to like get it back without breaking it and putting it back down. But if I did this right, we can see that it will stop sending the energy into the machine. So we want to make sure that it's inserting it into the machine we want to insert it into, and it's extracting it from the one that we want to extract it from. This is relatively simple because it's just energy. There's kind of like only in or out. So this is the energy conduit. Now, if I have a chest, so if I go and make a chest that I want to put items into. Okay, so this is done. I can fire up some of this pulsating iron ingots. So if I want to have a chest that this automatically puts its items into, I will need the item conduits. And this will take the pulsating alloy ingot, pulsating iron, pulsating alloy ingot. That will then just go into the same recipe where we have the conduit binder, and then we have the pulsating green ingots here. I already made some, and also it's the nuggets of the pulsating alloy. I totally knew that, so I can actually just do it. You make nuggets by just crafting it like that, and then we can make it, and then this gives us the item conduits. Okay. So what we can do then is do the same thing where we can place the conduits next to the machine, and we can see that there are like the arrows here again. It doesn't do this one properly though. So we can see that the arrow's coming out of this one, saying that it's extracting it from our machine. We can also see that this has a lot more buttons. So then, I think it defaults to being green. So the green channel, you can click at it and there will be different channels you can do. This is really convenient, and I'll show you why in a second. But basically, you can cross paths with a bunch of stuff, and you can keep things organized. So we have it on extract, we have it on the channel. Then we go to this side, and we make sure it's at the same channel, but it defaulted to being extracting, so it's not putting anything in the chest. I want to insert into the chest, and I don't need to extract from the chest, so I do that. And it will start extracting from the machine. And it might be not doing that because it's from the front of it. So it might... Oh, no, that's not why. There's a redstone thing. I believe this one is always active by default for both. This one is never active by default. So we want to go and click it, and we'll switch it to always active. There's also the redstone signals. If you want to be able to control it with a redstone signal, be able to turn it off and on with like switches or something. Then we'll go to this side. We'll do the same thing. So it's always on. Okay, so now we can see that it moved the silicon from the sag mill to the chest. Now, I believe you can cross paths in the same block. So I didn't do that at first just to keep it simpler. But I can place it in the same space as this energy conduit, and it will let me kind of do this. And this is really convenient for being able to just save space. This should effectively do the same thing. It has like tabs, right? So this is the energy conduit one that we already saw, and this is the item one. It did not keep my settings. So I do that, and this would work the exact same way. But it lets us save a little bit of space and not have to use another block. I believe you can stack a bunch in the same block. I've never actually stacked a whole lot of them, but I believe you can just do as many as you want. Maybe not like the same one. You can't have like two energy ones, right? But you can have like an item, a fluid one, the energy one, etc. This is really convenient, and I just want to point that out. You can do this, and that's it'll work the same way as if it's on a different side of the machine. Okay. So now the reason I want to, I said that it's convenient for the channels to exist, is if I, for example, take more chests. So I have like a chest here. I'll do it like this. So if I have a chest, 1, 2, 3 here, and then I have a chest here, and then I have a chest here. Let's say I put like red dye in this one and blue dye in this one. So I can do the same thing in order to move these items to the other chests. So I can do the item conduit. I can make sure that it's on always active. It's extracting from this one, and I want to insert in this one, always active, and I want to insert. It's on the green channel, and it's on the green channel, so it should be moving my dye over into this chest. Now, if I want to do the same thing, where I move this stuff into this chest, I can do this, right? But the item conduits are going to attach to each other, which is not ideal. There's no way to like have it split up like this if it's the same conduit. However, that's what the channels are for. So this one is extracting, where it's always active, but I don't want it on green channel. I want it on blue channel, for example. And I'm paranoid, so I'm just going to do that on blue too. Then I'll switch this one to do the same thing. So it's blue. I want it to insert into this chest, and it's always active. And now we can see that even if I go and like, it got crossed while I was doing the settings. But I have my blue dye in here, and I have my red dye in here. I want the red die to go to this chest, and I want the blue die to go to this chest. With the settings, we can see that it is in fact doing that. So only the blue die is going to this chest, and only the red die is going to this chest. And we don't have these chests just kind of pushing into random ones. This allows you to basically morph a bunch of stuff together, and you don't even have to do like an X like this. You could have just one item conduit go from one point to another, and then just split them out. So like I could have like a chest here, and then I could just condense it into one giant long item conduit and then split it back out, or however I want to do that. And it's also convenient that there's a lot of channels. There's a lot of options here, so you can really pack a lot of stuff into one item conduit line, and that's really convenient. All right, so back to the solar panels. Now that we have had time for the sag mill to make silicon, so the rest of the stuff is pretty easy to get. So it's glass, gold ingots, 2 capacitors, which we've already made. Then it's redstone dust. We need these the photovoltaic plates though. This requires this thing, and this goes into the alloy smelter, which we already have. This is made with lapis dust, powdered coal, and silicon. So we needed the silicon. We already have the powdered coal. You can, in fact, place lapis lazuli into the sag mill as well, and this will pulverize it for you. If you're using a mod pack, you're also welcome to use pulverizers from other mods. This should move it into this chest, which then is going to get moved into this chest. So we can wait for it to give us a little bit, and I might cut the video at the end when it's making all of it. But we go get lapis dust, we put the silicon here, and we make this photovoltaic compound. I'm going to warn you, you're going to need a lot more of this than you expect, because I think this only makes you 1 of these, so you need 9 of them in order to make 1 single solar panel. Now the orange solar panel is the lowest tier. Then there is the green solar panel, which is the 2nd tier. And then there's the blue solar panel, which is the 3rd tier. So this one only makes you 4 power units per second. I think it's microcurrent, but I don't know what that is in like RF or anything. Then we have pulsating, whatever, the green one. This is 16, so it's 4 times better. And then the blue one is 4 times better than that. So it's 16 times better than the orange one, and 4 times better than the middle one. So you're going to need a lot of these plates here. So I just want to warn you that you're going to need a lot more of these than you expect you're going to need. But I should be able to make 1 right now. So we have 3, we do that. So I make 9, and then I can stick this into my alloy smelter. I still have the primitive one. You're welcome to make the normal one, and you will just attach it to your power just like we did for the other one. Okay, so this will take a minute. But it will get us these plates. It uses 3 at a time to make 1 plate. So I need to make 2 capacitors. So I have my copper. Did I put my, I think I put my gold away already. Okay. Grab my gold. Grab the whole stack. And then we're going to make 2 of these because we're going to need 2 of them. And then redstone dust. Okay. So from the recipe, we have the capacitors down here. I didn't grab gold ingots, but I can make them. So you have gold, glass, capacitors. I think it's just redstone here. And then we need to make the plates, which we already did. So we can make the plates, and this will get us the solar panel. Now the solar panel isn't a full block. However, it will just work like a normal machine. So if I place it over here, it's not going to be a full block there, but I should be able to use an energy conduit to attach to it, and I can bring it to somewhere more convenient. I know this is really awkward looking. And I want to make sure that this one is extracting. It's always active. Redstone channel, I don't think this matters. This is like the channel that you're on for the redstone signal, not for like the energy signal. So if I got rid of the Stirling generator, and then I go and use, we can see that we're already using this. If I take this out, we can see that it's very slowly increasing in energy from the solar panel. So the solar panel is providing energy to it, which is what we would want. It's not very fast. It is free energy, but it isn't very fast. So you might need a lot of them to be able to make a good amount of energy. I think I have like 20 of the blue solar panels behind that water wheel. And even that's not very fast. But it is free, and it will go forever. It, of course, only works during the day. I think when it's like raining, it's like half or something. But it only works during the day. So if you want to go with the solar panel route, you also have access to capacitors, not the little ones we were making, but little like battery banks. The basic capacitor bank, which I think is the simplest one you can make, has this recipe where we need 4 capacitors now. So I'll make 4 capacitors. Come on. And copper. Then we make a redstone block. And I forgot the recipe, but I think it's this. And then iron. Yeah. This is basically just an energy storage medium. So you can place this on our little line. We can have it on insert and extract, which it is already by default, and then have it on always active. It's just good to check these things are what they should be, just in case it's not going to work. What we can see then is that if this thing filled up, which will take forever, and I'm going to just get rid of this so that we don't have to wait, it will start putting the energy into the bank. And it's not doing that. Why is it not doing that? Redstone mode. Let's see. What if I don't extract it? If I do extract it. Okay. I don't know why it wasn't working there for a second, but it does seem to be working. It doesn't look like it's like putting it on my bar. I don't know what is up with that. I think this is a mod pack thing. If you look at my tooltip, there is in fact energy going into it very slowly. If I put this thing down and make more energy with combustible fuel, it might show it faster. Okay, yeah, I think mine's bugged. I think it's converting it to a different power, FE in this case, and it's not showing me on the thing. But we can see that it's making energy and it's putting it into the machine. Now, if I were to get rid of this and then reattach it to this thing, this will start filling up with energy again, and this will start getting depleted. Just as it's just a very basic energy storage, and it's not very big, but it is at least something to let you use solar panels and then still have power during the night, for example. There are more upgraded versions, so you can make bigger ones, and they have different recipes. I'm not going to get into them, but they will allow you to store a lot more energy, and that is convenient. Now, something I'm not going to talk about too much, but I figured I would mention, is that there are these like little extraction speed upgrades. And I believe these are there to let you make your extractors, and specifically your item extractors, go faster. Because we could see that they go kind of reasonably fast, but they don't go like that fast. So if you have something that's really high throughput, like in some factory, you might need it to go faster. You can make these extraction upgrades, the first one being this one, second one being this one, third one, and then the fourth one. Even the first one's not the easiest one to make, but it's a redstone, torch, piston, iron, and then redstone alloy ingots, which are made with this recipe, which is redstone and silicon, and I don't know, we can make it, let's do it. So we'll make the redstone, not that. The redstone alloy, we're going to need 4 of these. And what these will do is you can put them into the little slots here, I believe. And I'll check this when we make them. And you can make it go faster, which is convenient. Because like I said, it is enough for most things. But if you have a high throughput machine, you're going to need a lot more. For example, I use the Applied Energistics exporter and importers for most of my stuff. So I don't really use the item conduits unless I need something really fine-tuned. But even those have speed issues, right? So you always need something that is very fast. So this is how you can speed up the Ender IO item conduits. So we have 5. So I'm going to make... did I burn all my wood already? No. So I'm going to make a piston. I did throw my redstone here. Okay. So I'll make a piston, and then we're going to make a... What was it? A torch? And then we're going to make the speed upgrade. Okay. It makes you 2, which is convenient. So we can go over here, and we should be able to, do it on this one, stick it into one of these slots, and maybe we right-click it. Okay, it's on the right slot, I suppose. Then we go to this one. We don't need to do this, but we can put it in there. I don't think it needs to be on both sides. I think it just needs to be on the extracting side. So there's not actually anywhere for me to put it. So I can put it on this one. It'll go into this slot. And then we can see that this will go a lot faster. Instead of doing 4 at a time, it looks like it's doing 8 at a time. This is just for the first upgrade. There are 4 tiers, so they will make them go slower or faster depending on which tier you use. Well, it won't make it go slower. It'll go faster or it'll go much faster depending on which tier you use. So that's just one way you can speed up the item conduits, which is very convenient when you're making large scale factories. Alright guys, that'll be it for this video. I hope I was able to share a little bit of knowledge about the Ender IO mod, and that I helped get started with the Ender IO mod. Every mod pack and every version of the mod will be slightly different, so if something is a little bit different than what I showed, that is likely the reason. If you have any issues, feel free to leave a comment, and I will do my best to help out, but no promises. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you next time.